There are 21 movies in the Marvel Cinematic Universe. That is insane. And what this franchise does better than any other is tying everything together, albeit with a few slips here and there. Captain Marvel fits very well and is a great addition to this larger universe. Brie Larson stars as the title character, and let me just say right off the bat that everyone who says she isn't good in this movie is crazy. I love her in this movie, and she's a character with such a bright future in this series. Larson brings a lot of charm to this role while also being a complete badass at the same time, especially in one scene in particular towards the beginning of the movie where she is kind of bound with her hands and she can't really use her powers, so she just has to use her fighting skills to beat up a bunch of these Skrulls, and it is fantastic. And speaking of those powers, they are awesome. I love her powers in this movie, and she really is the Superman of Marvel, and she's really only rivaled in terms of powers to one other character in this universe, which is Thor. And as I said, this film fits very well into the larger cinematic universe, particularly in where this film takes place. This film is set in the mid-90s, sporting some nostalgia from Blockbuster to Radio Shack to even a very fun soundtrack, but what makes this work so well is the incorporation of some characters we've seen in the past. Besides being a wacky space opera, this film is also a buddy cop movie as she and Agent Fury, that's right, Agent Fury, try to solve this mystery of her past. Samuel L. Jackson proves once again that he is perfect in this role. This is probably his largest role since Winter Soldier, and in terms of de-aging tech, pretty much flawless. His first scene is a bit wonky, but after that I just bought into it. I think the reason to go to this movie, other than one point that I'm about to make here in a minute, is to see the relationship and the banter between Larson and Jackson. It is fantastic in this movie. Their back and forth works so well. It's funny, their chemistry is great, and I love that aspect of this movie. The clear standout in this film from both a character and a plot standpoint is Ben Mendelsohn as Talos, the head of the Skrulls. He is fantastic in this movie, as he is in every role that he's really ever had. This role is particularly layered and fascinating to follow as the mysteries unfold. And this could really be said about the Skrulls as a whole, which I thought was a great addition to this universe. However, this film is filled with so many characters and groups, some of which were not as intriguing as the others. Larson goes by the name Veers, as she is a part of the Kree's Star Force, not to be mistaken by Trump's Space Force. This group of noble warrior heroes are really cool to see in action, but they're not as fleshed out as I would like them to be. Some of them don't really matter too much, they kind of blend into the background. They're just kind of side characters to just kind of look cool. But Jude Law's character in particular, I wish I would have seen a lot more with him. I also could have used a lot more time with Maria Rambeau, played by Lashana Lynch, who did a very good job with the role. However, I just wish I got to see more of the relationship between her and Danvers, but there's just not enough time to give that relationship the attention it really deserved in this movie, especially with how impactful she seems to be in the life of Carol Danvers. And this is probably my biggest issue with this movie. You get a lot of time to see the personality with Captain Marvel and with Veers, but you don't get enough time with Carol Danvers herself, if that makes any sense. And yes, her personality does go hand in hand with all of those different personas, but when you have a main character that has amnesia, this will happen and you don't really get to fully see her past, and I think they could have done that a little bit better. This film also suffers from slight prequelitis, which is, in my definition, when a film tries to over-explain some things that happened in a certain storyline, so they try to over-explain a couple things, resulting in a few eye-rolling moments, and there's one in particular that I think a lot of people are not going to like, but I think it's funny, so I'm okay with it. But I do think this film suffers from a little bit of that, and I think it could have been done a little bit better, if not just completely gotten rid of some of those things. And one more thing I'd like to slightly touch on, the connections to Infinity War and Endgame, and don't worry, no spoilers, but I do think how they tie everything together is perfect. A lot of movies try so hard to tie them into everything and to set up for sequels and so on, and this film is not worried about it. It just kind of happens naturally, and I have to praise them for doing this. Marvel is such a machine, and they pump out film after film, yet they never lose the quality in the action sequences, in the directors that they choose, which is now a very diverse group of directors, and they're just all so well made. They have created an insane 21 film narrative that spans through all those movies, and it works so well, and I just no other franchise has anything close to this, and I don't think anybody will have anything like it for such a long time. It is truly remarkable, and this film does live up to the legacy that was started by Iron Man back all the way in 2008. I am ridiculously excited for Avengers Endgame, as I'm sure everybody else is, and I'm even more excited, honestly, about Brie Larson's future in this franchise, in that film, and in films in the future. The MCU is looking very bright with the addition of Brie Larson and Captain Marvel. And also, I can't go without mentioning the MVP of this movie, Goose the Cats. I won't say anything else. But yeah, thanks everyone for watching this video. Make sure you guys subscribe to see more reviews just like this one, and also the Talking Movies podcast, which I will be doing a spoiler review in the next podcast sometime later this week. But yeah, so thanks guys for watching. Subscribe to the channel. I'll see you all in my next review.